Hello, and welcome to my reselling channel, Flippin' Hippos. I'm Star. Today is Wednesday, so we're going to do a motivational talk, but this one is going to be a little hard for some of you to hear. For some of you, this is just going to be tough love and not so much motivation. But turn that defensiveness into motivation, if you will. I really want you to take everything I'm going to say today to heart. It's going to make some of you feel some type of way, and that's okay. Internalize that and then use it to motivate yourself. We're going to talk about boundaries today. So recently I was filming a podcast with the gentleman over at What's Happening in Reselling This Week. I'm going to link their podcast down below for you, and I'll let you know in a couple of weeks when my episode goes live on their podcast. But we were basically talking about how I'm such a huge proponent of work-life balance, and they asked me, well, where would you recommend someone start if they don't have that work-life balance, whether it's they can't find the time management to balance time off of work, or if they can't find the balance between workspaces and places in their home that are free of the reselling business. And my off-the-cuff response was routines. That's where it all starts. When you have good routines in place, you have good processes, you're getting more work done and being more productive in less time, thus freeing up time for yourself, for that work-life balance. But that didn't really address the question about how to maintain spaces in your home that are reselling free. Even if you got a good grasp on time, when you are having your free time, going to watch a movie or read a book, if you are surrounded by your inventory, you're not really having time off because you're still mentally seeing it. It could be causing stress, anxiety, or even guilt that you're watching a movie and not working because your inventory is sitting in the chair next to you. So I want to talk about all of that today. But my answer to them was because you don't have boundaries. If you are struggling to find a way to take time off of work or struggling to find a way to keep your inventory to one area of your home or your workspace, it's because you don't have boundaries. That's the bottom line. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How to run your business without letting it run you. It is very easy for reselling to bleed into every single part of our lives. We work from home. We have all of our stuff here, most of us. Some have storage units and warehouses, so this isn't pertaining to you. But when you have it all in your home, it's very easy to just let it take over. So today we're going to talk about how to have boundaries so that it doesn't take over. The flexibility that we have is such a blessing, but if you don't have those boundaries in place, that flexibility, that blessing becomes a trap. The first thing we're going to discuss today is time boundaries. I talk about scheduling, routines, work-life balance, time blocks. I talk about all of this all the time. So this isn't anything new to hear from me that your schedule equals your sanity. Sometimes just one more listing can turn into 3 more hours. But keep in mind that working all day doesn't necessarily mean that you're being productive, because burnout will kill your consistency and your productivity. So you need to set working hours, but those don't have to be rigid. You can break it up into segments throughout the day and take longer breaks. You can take days off when you want, work in the evening if you want. The flexibility is the blessing, but you need to have set working hours. You need to say, these are the hours that I'm working. However they look to you, a straight 8, 2 here, 3 there, whatever it is, you need to have those set, and they need to be set in stone. This is when I work. This is when I recreate. You also need to get like a shutdown routine in place. And this is something I don't think I've ever really addressed on this channel, but it's something that I actually do every single day when I'm getting ready to quit. And I do this even when I break up my time. So often on Wednesdays, because I do a Whatnot show Wednesday evening, and then I do the YouTube show with 10th and Main Wednesday evenings. I'll quit earlier Wednesday afternoon than normal, say around 3. I still go through my routine of shutting down. And then when I come back in here and work for those couple of hours, I still have another routine to shut down. It kind of gets your brain in the mentality that it's in the workday. So put everything away, wipe down the tables, organize what you worked on, put it in your inventory management system, reset your computer. Whatever it is that you do at the end of a workday or at the end of your time working, you need to get in the habit of always doing that because it signals to your brain that it's time to quit. You want to always batch your tasks. I talk about that. Batch tasks. Time block. This is when I do this. This is when I do that. This is when I work. This is when I'm off. And then have that transition time and the shutdown routines in place. If you don't clock out, your brain doesn't clock out. So if you are constantly in work mode, your brain is never going to let you rest. Now let's talk about physical boundaries. Inventory should not be taking over your life. I do understand that there are those of us who are very limited on space, and you may have to have a section of your actual living room that is where you work, or a section of your bedroom. And that's fine. If you have the availability to have a whole separate office or a separate storage space, that's even better. You're going to have an easier time of having those physical boundaries. For instance, me. This office and the garage are the only 2 places you will find any inventory or anything to do with reselling at all. When you go into the living room, the kitchen, the bedroom, other places in this home, you would not know I'm a reseller. It looks just like well, it doesn't look like a regular home because it does stay decorated for Halloween all year. It looks like a regular Halloween nerd home. There's no reseller stuff. There's no inventory everywhere. The spaces for my inventory are this office and the garage, period. Now, if you live in a small apartment or a very limited space, you're going to have to make concessions here. But you can still make those physical boundaries. You can take one corner of your living room and put a table or a desk where you work and just have that little area where you can have a bin or 2 or whatever you're working on of inventory at a time. Or in your bedroom, same thing. I would still highly suggest having a line of demarcation. Half the living room is business, half the living room is recreation. You can absolutely still have physical boundaries with limited space. Just keep the 2 areas of the room separated. Don't let it spill over everywhere. When inventory creeps into all of your living spaces, it's constant stress. You will never relax. You will never take time off because you are either always thinking about how you need to organize it or move it or get it out of the way or put it somewhere else or work on it. And you have all this guilt and all this anxiety. How the hell are you ever taking time off work and relaxing? Visual clutter equals mental clutter. And it is really hard to relax or take time off of work when it's always in your face everywhere you go in your house. So keep that inventory contained to one room, one area. You can get really creative with bins, shelves, zones. I mean, you could even put up curtains and stuff in your house if you have to, but you really need to keep things separated and avoid just setting things down anywhere. If you have designated spaces, designated routines in place, you're going to have a place where you put your stuff when you come in from sourcing, thrifting, yard selling, whatever. For instance, I take everything in the garage first, wash and dry it, comes up to the office, and then it goes back down there after I photograph it. If I didn't have those good routines in place, it's very possible that I could just bring it in and lay it down anywhere. But I have those things in place, so there's a whole system for my inventory that it has to go through these steps so it stays where it's supposed to be and doesn't encroach upon my living spaces. If you've ever had inventory on your couch, bed, or kitchen table, you are not alone. There are, even I, in the beginning, used to not be very good at keeping the spaces separate. And I had to learn very quickly, very fast, that you, just because you work from home, you can't have your inventory all over your home. You need to have spaces. We've all done it. Some of us are probably still doing it. And again, if this makes you feel some type of way or you feel defensive, utilize that. Let's spring clean. Let's organize. And if you have so much inventory all over the living spaces of your house that you know it's going to take you more than, say, a couple of weeks to get through it, to photograph it all and put it away, then you may need to take your death piles and your unlisted inventory and put it away. Again, if you have very limited room, it might be harder for you to do that, but like we have the garage. So I try to keep unlisted inventory in a very specific space down there so it's not all up in my office. Because I buy wholesale, I buy bulk, and a lot of you do too. You go out, you buy a ton of stuff, you bring it in, it's everywhere, it's all over the place, it's disorganized. I only like to bring from the garage to my office enough to work on for a week or two. I usually have about a week or two of stuff up here, but I don't want to bring any more than that. So try to get into that mentality of just have enough to work on. So if it's already everywhere, all over the place, and you think that if you dedicate 2 weeks to really going at it to get rid of that death pile and photographing it and then putting it away, then just do that. But if it's so much that you know it's going to take you a month, several months, a year to get through it, you may want to start moving it somewhere else and then just bringing it in a little bit at a time. Because then you won't be looking at this insurmountable death pile all the time. And oh my gosh, where do I start? Oh my gosh, it's so much. Because it's going to be out of sight, out of mind, and you're only going to have a week's worth of stuff in your office or in your workspace. And then there are mental boundaries. So we've talked about your boundaries with your time. You need to have a very clear, this is when I work, this is when I'm off. We've talked about your physical boundaries. This is where inventory goes, this is where I live. But you have to have mental boundaries too. You don't have to be on 24/7. Notifications, offers, and messages can absolutely control your life, control your mood, and make you anxious. I don't really check mine in the evenings and on the weekends so much. I don't know that that's something everyone would want to do. You can do I don't ignore them completely. So I have canned responses that I send to folks in the evening and on the weekend. I have them saved on my phone and I can just copy and paste it. And it says, hello, thank you for your interest in this item. However, it's after workout or hours. We'll get to your question. We'll get the item. We'll get the measurements. We'll get whatever entered here in the morning for you. Or, hello, thank you for your interest in this item. However, it is the weekend. So first thing Monday morning, we'll get back to you. I let them know that I've seen their message. I'm glad they're interested in my item, but I'm not going to address it until it's working hours. And it's absolutely, absolutely acceptable for you to have those boundaries with buyers. Just because you are selling on eBay or Poshmark or Etsy or wherever does not mean that you are on call 24/7 hours a day, 7 days a week for buyers. They think you are. They absolutely do. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to say it's after hours. It's the weekend. It's okay. Don't ignore them completely. That's why I wanted to add that asterisk. I don't deal with stuff in the evening or the weekends, but I also don't ignore messages, especially on Etsy, because if you don't answer within 24 hours, it affects your metrics. I let them know I saw your message and I'll get back to you in the morning or on Monday or after the holiday or whatever the case may be. I have boundaries and I'm never going to not have boundaries. Now, if it's something that's easily answered, like I know, hey, is this necklace glass or acrylic beads? I can answer acrylic real quick. That's fine. But here's the thing. If I'm in the middle of watching a movie, if I'm in the middle of reading a book, if I'm in the middle of dinner with Keith and his grandparents or his family, I'm not going to answer it then. When I'm setting the book down to go use the restroom or get a drink, when I'm done with dinner, when the movie's over, that's when I'll answer it. You don't have to be available around the clock. You are not on call. You are not here for them all the time, and that's okay. I think a lot of sellers have a hard time understanding or accepting that. Not understanding, but accepting that it's okay to have boundaries in work hours, office hours. It's okay. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to compare yourself to other resellers who are killing themselves working around the clock, because guess what? They're going to burn out and they're not going to be very happy. When you have a good balance between work and life, you're going to be a much happier person. So you can turn your notifications off completely after hours, or you can send the canned response like I do, and set expectations. You know, hey, it's the evening, it's the weekend, it's Christmas, I'll get back to you later. And one thing I think a lot of resellers really need to get in their heads is that rest for your mind and your body is productive. It doesn't feel like it when you're resting, but it is. Allowing your mind to reset, allowing your body to relax, allowing yourself to rest and turn the work brain off and just recreate, enjoy your life for a little bit, that is very productive. And you're going to come back to work full of so much energy. I come back every Monday morning fully recharged, raring to. I'm up at 7 in the morning, Monday morning, ready to go. 30 packages to package, no big deal. I'm excited. I'm happy to start the day. I'm happy to start the week. I'm fully rested. I'm fully recharged. Now, if I worked all evening and all weekend and all the time, I would be dragging my ass out of bed Monday morning, miserable and tired. You've got to give yourself time to rest, and you've got to give yourself time to relax. Learning how to set these boundaries is a powerful shift in your mind and the way that you think. Structure will increase your efficiency. You will be much more productive when you are rested. Burnout will absolutely lead to inconsistency and you just not being at your best and being your most productive. Boundaries do not limit your business. They scale it. You need time, physical, and mental boundaries. Now, you ready for this, guys? I'm going to give you the warning signs. There's 5 of them. 5 warning signs that you need better boundaries. Okay, so this is your time for a self-check. You only have to be honest with yourself. I can't hear your answers. Nobody else can hear your answers. This is just between you and yourself. So be completely honest. Is there inventory in every room of your house? Do you feel like you are behind all the time? Do you feel like you can't take a day off without stress or feeling guilt? Do you feel like you're working all the time, but you never see any growth, never see any dent in the death pile, never see any real way to gauge how much you've been working? And do you ever avoid working because you feel so overwhelmed? If you said yes to any of those, you need better boundaries. Here's a couple of actionable takeaways from this video that are simple to implement to get you started on the path to having better boundaries. Pick a daily stop time. Create a dedicated workspace, even if it's small, whatever you're working with. A TV tray, the dining room table, just pick one little dedicated workspace. Do a weekly reset. I love weekly resets. Not just for my business, for my house too. So like every Sunday evening, Keith and I go around the living room, fold all the blankets, make sure all the coats are hung, just you reset your house, you get it ready for the week. You can do that with your business too. Make sure your shipping supplies are stocked. Make sure your inventory is ready to go where it needs to be for next week. Make sure you've put everything away that you worked on this week. Make sure everything's neatened and just get it all organized. It's called a reset. You can do it for your reselling business and your home. I love my resets every week, but do a weekly reset. Set a goal, a clear and concise goal every day. This is how much I'm going to list. Instead of having an endless work day, set a goal. I'm going to finish this pile. I'm going to photograph all of these. I'm going to organize this area. Whatever your very clear and specific goal is for the day, instead of just having this endless work day out in front of you with all this work to do. Whatever you didn't get to today will be there tomorrow, I promise you. And I highly recommend having at least one day off a week. If you're in growth mode, if you're still trying to grow your business, if you still have a lot of things that you need to get to and you need to work 6 days a week, okay, but at least take one day off. One whole day off of work. And I would suggest at least 2 minimum to 3 evenings. So have 3 days a week where you quit in the evening, 2 days minimum, just two evenings off and 1 day a week off. Aim for that. So have a stop time, a dedicated workspace, do your reset every week, set a goal for each day, and then have at least 1 day off and a couple of evenings. That's actionable steps that you could start taking towards having better boundaries for yourself. You started reselling probably for freedom. Now, I know I started because I got hurt at work and I became disabled, but it quickly became about the freedom. We all love our freedom as resellers. But if your business is taking over your home, your time, your mind, you're not really free. You don't really have freedom, and you need to adjust something. Your business should support your life, not replace it. I'm going to say that one more time. Your business should support your life, not replace it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything you saw in this video or reselling in general, let me know down below. And please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Help me feed some hungry hippos. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.